The rules are simple.
Every week, we watch a new movie.
Then, we discuss it.
Welcome to
Weekly Cinema.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first episode of our official new podcast, Weekly Cinema. I am your host, Gabe Late, here with my co-host,
McKenna Coleman.
Hi. Welcome to this new podcast. We're very excited about this. We're going to try and do some really cool things with this. And of course, it has its own gimmick and everything because we want to follow along a cool template so you can know what to expect every week. And we can have some fun with this, right? So, Weekly Cinema. This is brought to you by Avon Lake Productions and is a division of the show Anchor News Now. Let's get right into it. So what you can expect from this podcast is we are going to sit down and talk about movies. I mean, it is called Weekly Cinema for a reason. Every week we're going to choose a new movie to watch, and that following week we are going to talk about that movie that we watched. So we're going to give you our genuine first reactions. We are going to give you our genuine reactions and reviews on it and everything. So it'll be a new movie every week, and we'll talk about it on the podcast. We might have some people on. Whatever it is, the main goal is to talk about a new movie every week that we have not seen before that show. So,
this week is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, we're starting with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, directed by Quentin Tarantino, mainly because we are starting with our first episode and we don't have a previous episode to start off and go off of. So we're going to start with a movie that we both watched a little while back. And so we're doing this based off of memory. We might have to look some stuff up, but mainly this is completely our first time talking to each other in depth about this movie. We're very excited about it. So sit back, relax. If you want to check out the movie before you watch this and then join the discussion with us, go right ahead. But just note, there will be heavy spoilers, obviously, for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out. Alright, so Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, rated R. It came out in 2019. It is a comedy western movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Austin Butler, Luke Perry, Margaret Qualley. It is about an actor named Rick Dalton who gained fame and fortune by starring in a 1950s television western, but is now struggling to find meaningful work in Hollywood that he doesn't recognize anymore. He spends most of his time drinking and paling around with Cliff Booth, his easygoing best friend and longtime stunt double. Rick also happens to live next door to Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate, the filmmaker and budding actress whose futures will forever be altered by members of the Manson family. So that's the general synopsis given by Google. So now what we're going to do, as we will do for every movie, we're going to give our quick review. And my quick review, I gotta say, out of 10, a thumbs up or thumbs down in a quick review, I have to say I give it a 7.5 out of 10, and I give it a thumbs up. I highly recommend it. Quentin Tarantino is an incredible director, and I feel like this is a great movie by him. It's a little different than his other ones, I gotta admit, but I think the style that it was filmed in, the acting was incredible, and I just gotta say, we gotta see Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt together more. I mean, they are a great duo. McKenna, what is your quick review?
I think I'd give it a solid 9.5. It's a great film. I absolutely adore Quentin Tarantino's films. Great director. He definitely has his style, and I think that's something every great director has, and he absolutely kills it. I mean, it's a great film. I thumbs up. I recommend it.
Yeah, no, me too. If you haven't seen it, again, highly recommend checking it out because this is a movie you don't want to know anything about before you watch it. Trust me.
Oh, absolutely not.
There's a lot of surprises. All right, so there's your quick review from us. Again, this is your last chance. We are going into the spoiler talk. So now let's look up
the Rotten Tomatoes.
The Rotten Tomatoes details about this. Let's look at what the critics had to say and some reviews that people gave. Audience reviews straight off of Google is 3.1, which is actually kind of surprising. Out of the 5,779 ratings, it looks like it is pretty either this way or that way because the most ratings it got is 5 stars and the second most is 1 star. So
wow.
this is a very controversial flick, as if you may have heard, actually, because it's give or take. 73% liked the movie on Google. It got 85% Rotten Tomatoes. It got 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb, which is actually close to my rating. And it got 84% on Metacritic. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting to actually see how pretty split everyone is with this movie. Why do you think that is?
It does look like it is very split. But I do, with Tarantino having his style he does, not everyone would like to see that much graphic
Right.
type.
Or feet. Quentin Tarantino is big with his feet shots in his movies. I don't know why.
Yes, or feet. I
No,
wasn't
yeah.
thinking feet. Thank you, Gabe.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, in case you didn't know, you can expect a lot of feet in this movie. But no, this it's I guess a good way to describe it is this is a really raw film. I mean, not like it's really like, vulgar or anything, but it really shows human nature at its core. I mean, with like the plane shot, like the raw shots of, the hippies with Brad Pitt in the car, like that one scene, or like the scene where he goes to the town with all the hippies, or even when like Leonardo DiCaprio's acting, he forgets his lines and he full out rages. Like it shows true human emotions and it feels super real and natural, which is incredible. I think this is one of Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt's not best, but I think one of their most real performances out there.
I definitely would like to see those two together in a movie again.
Oh,
they are incredible.
Yeah. I honestly don't know if they are I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if they are in another movie together. If I look, is Brad Pitt? So Brad Pitt isn't in. I don't think so. As far as I'm aware, this is their only movie together. Oh, so no. Apparently, they're in two other movies called The Audition, released in 2014, and The Counselor, released in 2013. Haven't seen either, but it looks like they play pretty minor roles in it. But yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is their only movie where they are the main stars together, which is surprising. They're such a great duo. And again, love to see them in more. But yeah, this is a random quick side note. This is apparently Quentin Tarantino's 9th film, which is his most recent as well. And his next film will be his last. I don't know if you've heard.
Oh, no, I have, and that is very sad.
Very sad. He is a great director, and he has amazing filmography. And it will be his 10th film, which will be his last one, so that's pretty cool that his 10th will be his last. But it'll be called The Film Critic, and I don't know who's starring in it. I'm pretty sure it said... I don't know. I can't remember what they said about The Film Critic. But I saw some like headlines about actors that are going to be in it. So yeah, Brad Pitt. Of course, Brad Pitt. You can't have a Quentin Tarantino movie without either Leonardo DiCaprio or Brad Pitt, apparently, yeah.
Or Samuel L. Jackson.
Who
he brings back many times.
He does, yeah. He's another recurring actor. It's like, who's other directors that do that? Wes Anderson is a big person who does that as well, as I'm sure you know. He brings back Bill Murray, Jason Schwartzman, I think that's his name. Yeah, he's it's cool to see directors that have their main people that they bring back often. It's actually really nice to see that. All right, so we had some talk about the movie. So now let's get into some details about it. Let's get into what our opinions are on it. First, let's start. What did you like about the movie? I'm gonna let you go first, McKenna. What did you like about it? What's some highlights?
I definitely like the style of the movie, the filmography of it. It's just, again, like you said, it shows the raw human nature. I really enjoy the raw emotion it brings out of people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's...
Especially if you do go into this film without knowing a thing, you will get genuine reactions, and that is something I love about that.
Yeah, it has such a unique style. It's really incredible, and it really makes you feel like, man, I am actually seeing a live picture of this time. Of course, later in the movie, it starts to steer away from reality as things get really wild fast, which we'll get into. But for the most part, it is a very, very, and it's very warm, which I like. It makes summer look like summer. I mean, I know it's a weird thing to say, but it really, it has a really nice vibe to it in the color palette, which is super aesthetically pleasing to watch. I'm trying to see. I don't know what it was shot on, like what camera was used. I don't know if it was film or digital. Let me see right here. So apparently it's on a Kodak Vision 3 200T with Panasonic camera and lenses. Oh, Panavision, white 35 millimeter. So it was shot in film with Super 8 60 minutes. Yeah, that's really cool. So I had a feeling it was shot on something special, but it was shot on Kodak 35 millimeter film, which is really cool to see. I love movies that are shot like that, and you can genuinely see a difference when you watch films. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, me personally, what I like about the film is that I didn't know that, and I really like that. I love movies that are shot in film. That's a big thumbs up for me because I think it has such a great style. But another thing I really like about the movie is one of the main parts about it, and I didn't know going into the movie. I watched the movie straight through, and it was such a great movie, and I thought the ending was a little odd. It wasn't out of place. It wasn't not like, oh, it wasn't a movie ending, and it was a movie ending. But I thought the way, the pacing, the story arc, the way the movie was going, I thought it was weird to do a sudden violent attack on the hippies and then end with Leonardo DiCaprio's character going to the people next door, which is Sharon Tate and the director, and finally getting in touch with them and them living happily ever after, I guess, which I guess once upon a time in Hollywood, I guess that makes sense. But then you watch after, you look it up, and you realize the devastating story behind it. You realize that this is based off true events, but in Quentin Tarantino fashion, he just rewrote history. And usually what actually happened in real life is Sharon Tate and her family was unfortunately killed by Charles Manson's cult, and that one tragic evening, which was it's very devastating. Honestly, I mean, it's such a sad story. So to see like the hippies, I guess not hippies, that's what they call them, but Charles Manson's, not all hippies are like that, obviously, but during this time there was a big thing against hippies. Apparently there's a huge divide between the community, but Charles Manson's cult, seeing them actually get what they deserve in this film after learning what horrible things they did straight just for nothing, straight out of spite and out of anger and hate. It's really nice to see them get what they deserve, of course, and I think that's what I liked about the movie for sure. But on the other hand,
I'm gonna go into my dislikes.
What did you dislike about the movie, McKenna?
I'm gonna bring back what you said way earlier. I kind of do dislike the pacing. I think it goes a little slow.
Okay,
for sure, but it's a great film. I don't mean to hate on it or anything.
Of course.
But the pacing, that's a turnoff for me in some films, is how slow some films can go. I don't have that type of attention span.
Yeah. It has a big build-up, that's for sure. But it's either hit or miss with people, right? And for me, it was a hit, of course, because you got so engaged in the film, you felt like it was a day-to-day life. Like you had to sit through and watch Leonardo DiCaprio talk with the young actress when they're on set for one of his Western flicks. And you're seeing that conversation between them. It's like, I mean, was this really necessary for the movie? And I mean, I guess not story-wise, but you really got to see Rick Dalton as a true character. You really got to see inside his mind and his true emotions, how he actually felt when he broke down during that scene in a way. And that wise, there was a lot of moments like that where it's just building the character. And again, that's either hit or miss for people. And I completely agree with McKenna. It was a slow burner. It wasn't little. It was a slow burner because it's a pretty long film. I can't remember how long is it.
Like 2 hours, I think.
I think it's 2 hours.
Around there.
It's almost 3. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. So it's a long movie, but it's one of those movies once you see after how long it was, I mean, you could think, oh man, that was a long movie. I mean, some of the parts were slow, or you can come out of it and be like, that was 2 hours and 40 minutes. I mean, that felt like 30 seconds. Some people really get into it, some people don't. But either way, it's a film to adore. It's just, again, you have to take the time to sit through it, which I agree. That is something...
You do. You got to take the time to sit there and appreciate it.
Yes, yeah, and it's art. It's just art. You're really watching a master at work, which I think is amazing and very inspiring. But, me personally, what I disliked about the movie, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to say. I mean, I know I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, but that's just... I guess it's because it's not my type of movie. I think that's the only thing I'm against for it. It's a really perfect movie from head to toe. I mean, there's nothing I would change because I think every movie in some way has its director's touch on it, and I don't think there's anything you can change about that without making it a whole nother movie, a whole nother experience. It's not the director's own movie without their certain style, without the way they make it, the pacing, the editing, of course, even the acting, the directing, all of that. It's Quentin Tarantino. You're watching him displayed through his movie. And I think if I changed anything about it, it just wouldn't be the same. I don't think there's anything I would improve without making, it's my movie. It's his movie. And I think he did a great job. And what I dislike about it is just some things that I would have done differently. That's all I'm saying is anything that I would dislike against it would just mainly be me. Just me critiquing of how I would have done it differently, of course. And that's how McKenna was saying, too. It's like, it's if we were to make the movie. But I can't dislike it. I can't say I dislike it of his movie because it's his movie. But there's nothing really that he really did wrong in the terms of, filmmaking or whatever that I thought was bad. I guess in terms of, like, just what I didn't really enjoy was the movie itself. I mean, I'm not really into movies like this. Of course, the ending made it all worth it, but I'm not really into movies that are slow burners, like she said, and it's like really a history movie. It's secretly getting you to watch a history movie because this is based loosely on real events, and it's
very sad events.
Very
I
sad
must
events.
Add, but...
very sad events. But yeah, that's just the thing. I guess it's just not my style of movie. There's different movies I would rather watch. But I was able to get lured in, I watched it, and I actually enjoyed it, which is a really magical thing about film. You watch something that you really aren't into, and it makes you suddenly, wow, I mean, I was really into that. That's amazing. But I guess that's what I dislike about the movie. So now let's start talking about something good. What was your favorite scene or your favorite line from the movie?
I'm gonna set this up for you a little bit.
Okay.
So, it is near the end. He's getting questioned by the cops. Rick Dalton, his line, I was making margaritas.
That whole, oh my God.
I love that. And he just gets more and more drunk.
He was so out of it at the end, and it was so funny. That was like incredible.
I gotta say that or the flamethrower scene.
Oh, yeah. So
those
for me, it had to be the scene where he's sitting in the pool on the beach float, sitting there minding his business with his headphones on, listening. I think he was listening to his lines for preparing. And all of a sudden, while Brad Pitt is fighting off all of the Charles Manson's cult members in there. By the way, Austin Butler, I was very surprised to see him in a role like that, especially after watching Elvis and then watching this movie. I was like, dang, man, this is how he started. It's actually a really cool role for him, but it's funny to see him in a more vulnerable role like that where he isn't all powerful, because he is he gives off such a powerful presence in Elvis, and he's such a superstar in that movie. But seeing him in just like a role like this, it's actually really funny to see him in such a minor role. But no, when that scene happens and one of the members is thrown out the window into the pool, Leonardo DiCaprio's like freaking out, and then he goes off screen, and you're sitting there dying of laughter because it's so dark because you're like they get absolutely destroyed, and then he starts walking out with the flamethrower in slow motion. It's absolutely goes ham on that. Oh, man.
I love that. I was dying of laughter.
It's such a great
It's
sequence.
like my first genuine reaction.
It's such a great sequence.
Breathe.
It's so great because it's set up so perfectly too, because you're like, why does he own a flamethrower? Like, it shows that random detail of him owning it for like a movie where he kills like Nazis or whatever in that film he's in. And it's like, why'd they tell us that? But it's like that one movie trope where it's like if you're shown something like a random object, it has to be important or used in some way. Like if you're shown a shotgun hanging on a wall, I don't remember what the rule is, but if you're shown a shotgun on the wall, it has to be shot off later, or else it would be unfulfilling to the viewer. And we saw that with the flamethrower. It was the best thing ever. I
loved it. I loved it when he walked off. I thought, what the heck is he gonna go grab? What the heck is he doing? And then he brought back the flamethrower.
Oh, it's so great. It's so great.
All right.
So we already talked about behind the scenes a bit.
Let's get into fun facts.
Yeah, what's some fun facts about the movie?
Actually, did you know this film was not ever actually going to be made? He thought about not making it.
Who?
Tarantino.
Tarantino.
Because he said it was so personal to him. He started writing it as a novel. He spent like 5 years on that. So this film actually was never going to be made.
That's fascinating, actually. And I mean, it's very good that he did because it won so many awards. I mean, what awards did it win? Go ahead.
And into another thing, I do got to say, another thing I love about this movie and fun facts, not just this one, but Tarantino does make cameos in his own movies.
I think yeah, that is a fun fact. I can't remember was he in this movie?
Yes.
Yeah, what scene was he in?
In the end. In the end, he was the,
Quentin Tarantino.
At the end, he's by the fence.
Hold on.
I don't know how to explain this.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Let me look at images. Yep, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool that he does that. I noticed that too.
I do. That is something I absolutely love about his movies.
Yeah.
And I think is so cool that he directs those movies, but he's also in them.
Yeah, he's in a movie called Killers of the Flower Moon. I just watched Killers of the Flower Moon, which is a whole. I mean, we're not going to go into it or anything because we're talking about. But this is a Martin Scorsese film. And it's just like that, just like Tarantino did with this movie. Martin Scorsese, at the end of Killers of the Flower Moon, it's revealed that this was like, at the beginning it was too. It's kind of like Wes Anderson's Asteroid City in a way, where they made it's like, it's a play. It's like a play. It's a play inside of a movie, inside of a performance or whatever. It's like a very meta thing. Killers of the Flower Moon was the same way, and it's like this whole thing was a movie you're watching, but it was told through a play, and the person telling that play was Martin Scorsese at the end. It's revealed that he's the one who's like the director of the movie. It ends with him reading off like what happens to the family or whatever at the end of the movie. So it's cool to see Quentin Tarantino do the same thing. I think it's a really cool thing when directors do that because it's such a awesome detail for people who really pay attention. I adore that. Yeah.
For this episode, I honestly think we can skip behind the scenes because we talked about that a lot.
Yeah, and I mean we did. We talked a lot about behind the scenes and stuff. So I guess we're running out of time here, but let's ask one trivia question to each other.
All right.
Go ahead.
Hold on. I have them right here.
Okay, just one.
When was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood set? What time period? Was it 2077, 1969, 1957, or 1945?
I know this one. I know it's not the 40s or 50s, obviously, because there was not. This was like in the movie. It was like talking about like the Nazis' pictures and stuff that they did, and this was the time of hippies. So I know it wasn't anywhere near that. And what was the first one you gave me? What was the first year?
2077.
Definitely not that. So I'm gonna say 1969 for sure.
Yeah. Because the thing is, I don't picture Tarantino ever making a movie so far in the future.
Yeah.
Like, God.
No.
Where will we be in 2077?
No, yeah. I don't think he's not one to do that. To see a future, like a picture set in the future by Quentin Tarantino would be...
No.
It would be a ride. But no. Let me ask you this. Is Rick Dalton, the character in the movie, a real person?
Oh.
Is it based off a real person? The person Leonardo DiCaprio plays?
I want to say no.
You are correct. So the fun fact about this movie is both Cliff, I think it's Cliff Bratton, right? No, not Bratton. Cliff. Oh, I'm already forgetting the character's name. But Cliff and Rick Dalton, they're both not real. They are both fictional characters. But the Sharon Tate and the director husband she had, those are real characters. And of course, that story of Charles Manson, that's all real. But they added these characters just so we could see like a story of like how Hollywood was at the time, how it was changing, how the culture was, all that stuff, just so we could have a perspective to look off of, to see what actually happened, and not what actually happened, see how they depicted the story and how they changed the history of it. But in the end, they lived happily ever after, and I think that's really sweet of them to end off of. And I think that closes our first episode of Weekly Cinema. So yeah, that was really great. Thank you for sitting down with us, talking about Quentin Tarantino's movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I do highly recommend you do check this movie out.
Yes, so
it is an amazing film.
Be sure to check out this movie wherever you can watch movies. But it's on Hulu and it's on Sling. But then you can buy it on Vudu, Apple TV, YouTube TV, Amazon Prime, and Google Play. And of course, you can buy it physically. But definitely be sure to check out the movie. It's a great film, and I highly recommend it. Of course, if you haven't seen it. And also, be sure to subscribe to Avon Lake Productions for more episodes of this. We'll be doing another episode in the future. Of course, we'll plan to do this every week. And also to check out Anchor News Now, our weekly news show for everything Avon Lake.
All right, tune in next week when we talk about The Breakfast Club.
That will be next week's movie. We will watch it. In the meantime, neither of us, as of now, have seen The Breakfast Club. So we were very excited to watch it in our free time. And then we'll join together next week, talk a bit about it, and let you know what we think in another episode of Weekly Cinema. But that's it for now. Thank you all for tuning in, and McKenna?
See you next time.
See you next time. Goodbye, everybody.